Hello, this is Demon Phoenix with another Witcher 3 build video, this time building around one of the lesser used mutations, Metamorphosis. First of all, let's just appreciate how beautiful Toussaint is. It really is amazing. So, as you can see, this build is going to be using a slightly different mutation than normal, and it's quite a fun one. Euphoria obviously is the most powerful one. It's used in pretty much everything, got the odd piercing cold here and there. But I'm going to try something a little bit different and go with Metamorphosis for if you're feeling like something a little bit different. Now what this focuses on is one of the lesser used abilities, which is Crippling Strikes. Now Crippling Strikes inflicts bleeding, but it doesn't inflict normal bleeding. It just does 125 damage per second with 5 skill points, which isn't very much. But for this build it's very useful because when you apply a critical effect with Metamorphosis, it will give you temporary use of a decoction, up to 3 decoctions maximum, for 2 minutes each. Now this build will use either delayed recovery or fast metabolism, and there's a bunch of alchemy skills as well. We've got levity on the armor with cat school techniques and metabolic control. This is the version which is using fast metabolism and decoctions. So we've got all of the fast attack skills here, including crippling strikes. And we've also got strength training, crushing blows and rend, so you have a good range of combat skills. Now what we've got in terms of the gear is the Toussaint Knight steel sword, or whichever steel sword you prefer, and erendite, but we've got invigoration on both. Now invigoration is really interesting with this build because we're using a lot of alchemy skills, and we'll be able to increase the healing that we've got, and that gets converted to damage when we're at maximum health. We've also got the Manticore boots, trousers and chest for the critical hit damage and the added toxicity, and the Nilfgaardian Guardsman gauntlets for additional critical hit damage as well. Now the build focuses on using multiple decoctions with fast metabolism for the potions, and then get an extra decoction use on top of that with Metamorphosis. We're using Forktail decoction, Wartag decoction, the Echimera decoction and the Succubus decoction to go flat out offense for this build, and see what kind of damaging build we can get without having to rely on Euphoria. So as you can see here, this is just going into battle. I've got the 4 decoctions active, and I can very quickly use 2 potions, and then because of fast metabolism you can see that the amount that is being restored for your toxicity goes down very quickly, so we can use multiple potions. Now I've also got refreshment with 5 points in it, and refreshment means that we get 25% health back for each potion use, so you can use potions very quickly and get 25% health back with this fast metabolism version. You can see there that after I'm striking, you can notice that there are 3 extra decoctions in use, and those will be random, and that's what Metamorphosis does. So because we're using crippling strikes, it will inflict that critical status, and that will mean that you've always got decoctions available, and 3 extra decoctions on top of the ones that you've already chosen. As you can see there, the damage was about 20,000 for my next strong critical hit before I took a hit, and that was because Invigoration using the refreshment skill means that if you're using a couple of potions, that will give you plus 25% for each one, and if you're at full health, that gets converted to damage with Invigoration. So if you don't want to use fast metabolism, you want to go with a slightly different build, you can use delayed recovery. So this is with delayed recovery instead of fast metabolism. Now we have acquired tolerance and metabolic control to boost the toxicity and allow use of decoctions with the fast metabolism version. But here with delayed recovery, all we need is potions, so delayed recovery only goes off potion toxicity, so you don't want to be using decoctions with it. But what that means is you can use a lot of the very powerful potions, as extremely potent ones, like Blizzard, which doesn't last very long but gives a fantastic effects for the slowdown when you kill enemies. Superior Thunderbolt is plus 35% damage, and Superior Swallow, which gives really good healing. So you can have poisoned blades on this as well, in place of acquired tolerance, and then you have a free skill slot that would have been metabolic control, and here I'm just going to use razor focus and 5 points in that, which increases the damage dealt and gives you more adrenaline points. And as you can see here, it's still very effective, so we've got all of the potions active there, and even though the time for Blizzard should have run out, but as long as you keep the toxicity, keep popping potions and keep the toxicity above 70% of your maximum, which with this build is 129 toxicity maximum, so as long as you keep it above 91 toxicity at all times with the legendary set in New Game Plus, you will always keep the potions active. Like you can see there, it just took off half of the Kikimor warrior's health in one go. So it can be a quite effective build, and if you're looking for something a bit different from Euphoria, this is something interesting that you can go with. This is a version of it at level 54. Now this is quite an intensive build to use skills for. So we had acquired tolerance there with heightened tolerance and protective coating to reduce the damage you take, and even without finishing all the skills, I have run out of points here. So you do have to be careful. As long as you've got 1 or 2 points in fast metabolism, it'd be alright, and you'd have to finish off the tree later in the game. For the level 54 versions, we have got synergy, but we haven't got round to getting killing spree yet. So again, that's something else you'd have to finish off. The delayed recovery version, because it doesn't need acquired tolerance right off, we still have refreshment and heightened tolerance, but we have a few skills left. Now we haven't got quite enough to unlock the bottom row for Crippling Strikes. So if you were to do this build, I would suggest maybe leaving 1 or 2 points off of will, just to be able to get down to that row to get Crippling Strikes, and use Razor Focus there instead, and then you'd very early be able to complete the build early in New Game Plus. As you can see here, you don't have quite enough skills to get down to that bottom row in combat, so I've just put 1 point in Killing Spree as like a placeholder, then we'll finish off the rest of it in New Game Plus. It's quite a fun little build. It's something that if you want to play a little bit differently and you want to try Metamorphosis, it's still quite powerful. And the Manticore gear is good because it looks like the Witcher 1 armor, which is pretty cool as well. So here you can see I'm fighting, this is with the level 54 version of the armor using the delayed recovery. And you can see that because I don't have Crippling Strikes, the extra decoctions aren't being used or triggered as often as they are when you have got the Crippling Strikes ability there. So it's still quite effective though, because you've got that 5 points in Poison Blades. You will start inflicting poison damage if you get a few fast attacks in using the right oil. So you can still get the extra decoctions using Poison Blades instead. And if you're using a sword like the Toussaint Knight Steel Sword, which has 15% burning, or something like the Hengaideth Sword, which has 15% bleeding, then you've still got a reasonable chance of inflicting that and getting those extra potions in place. But even without that, with the skills that are available on the build, it's still pretty useful. And it does some good damage, and it's quite good to be able to either use delayed recovery and have all of the potions at once, or to be able to use the fast metabolism version. And here you can see how powerful it is with Blizzard being procced as well. So I hope you enjoyed that. It's something a little bit different, and please like and sub for more videos. Thank you.